going through that experience, with the shooting is like, okay, that sucked. I'm going to let this change me in a good way.
Yeah.
Because I saw a lot of people kind of, we joke like, oh, they're sinking in they're sitting in their dying hole. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Like, I'm going to
traumatizing event.
Yeah.
Right.
It was. And like, but it made me stronger.
Yeah.
It made me cut off relationships that were very bad and cut off people that were very toxic, and to actually like have the balls to be like, no, and to like choose myself, and to, I joke like, life is too short, eat the dessert first.
Welcome back to the Catalyst Podcast. I'm here today with my friend and realtor extraordinaire, Amber Diskin of Remax Legacy. And I'm super excited to chat with her today. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
So we met in Leadership Las Vegas.
We did.
I know, it's so exciting.
I know.
Do you want to tell people what Leadership Las Vegas is? Because some of my audience may not know.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm a native to the Las Vegas area. So what's funny is going into leadership, I'm like, oh, I'll learn a little bit more about the town. And I learned so much more than I thought. And I'm like, how do I not know this? Like, I'm a native. This is pathetic. But just learning about all the inner workings of everything, from hospitals to our courts to, and where there's a need.
Yeah.
So all of it. And then obviously having 60 new best friends.
I know, that's cool. So yeah, the Leadership Las Vegas program is put on by the Chamber.
Vegas Chamber.
And all the chambers now do it. At least
Henderson has one.
Henderson has one. I don't know if North Las Vegas has one, but definitely Henderson has one. But we did the one through Las Vegas Chamber. And it's a year-long cohort where they only accept 60 people. So we were one of the 60 in the year, the double deuces, 22.
We were the double deuces.
Double deuces. And yeah, you sign up for a whole year, and it's really technically a once a month commitment where you attend a class once a month and you do a deep dive into something, like you said, like you're learning about
all the different areas.
Yeah. Criminal justice, morality, business, sports and leisure, and
casinos.
Yeah. And so I signed up, and a lot of people sign up because they have some aspirations to do something bigger for the city. Right. And I think the chamber sort of, that's kind of like the hook, like learn something about the city, and then you're sort of hooked because then you want to be the change, right? A lot of people run for office, or they start businesses or nonprofits as a result of being in the program. I think I initially applying kind of in the pandemic was like, oh, I want to be on the board of trustees. I want to get involved with education. I was watching, the craziness that was the board of trustees shows or meetings. I say shows, shit shows that was happening. And I was like, I can't, like, I need to try to do something. And I thought, well, this will be it. And then I went to education day and was like, I don't know how I can help. I don't know how I can be a change for this. And so I made the decision that like running my business was how I could have the biggest impact by helping small businesses be better. And that was kind of my big takeaway from it. But to your point, I think one of the things that people did say was like, you're going to learn so much about the city, but you will meet 59 like really incredible people.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, well, we'll see. Like, I don't know. But you do.
And we have a good group. I mean, we still get together and we get a big turnout, and not everybody can come, but everybody makes an effort.
Yeah, once a month we still have some activity that goes on. Years post our graduation where we still go out and somehow gather. We still go out for people's birthdays, and we still reach out when we need support. And that's pretty cool about that whole thing. And I don't know that we would have maybe ever
met in
otherwise.
Life. Probably not.
Right?
Well, and I love that in the beginning for the first, it was the first day or 2.
3 days that
you cannot talk about what you do.
Right.
So you get to meet each other and get to know each other on who you are, not just, oh, you're a judge. Oh, you're a realtor. Oh, you're a whatever.
Yeah.
And
you get to out at Nellis Air Force Base.
Yes.
For the first 48 hours.
Yes.
And you have no idea what people do.
Cannot talk about work.
Yeah. And that's pretty
Which
amazing.
is great.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you do these deep dive exercises. You learn a lot about each other on a different level. And then the end, talk about how we do learn what we do. That I thought that was kind of even just when we all sat in that circle.
Oh, we did. Yes, we did. Yeah. And it's funny because I know a few of us were trying to like guess. Well, when we were in our
like
groups, our color groups.
Yeah.
That we won't talk about that.
No, yeah. Don't talk about Bruno.
We won't. Yeah, we won't talk about that. But yeah, we were all sitting there. I remember with Dave Schultes, and we were trying to guess like what different people did.
Yeah.
You know, we were so wrong.
Yeah.
We were so off.
I think that person is in politics, or I think that person's a lawyer, and you're like so off base.
Yep.
So crazy. And we had people who were like CFOs of big organizations or DAs or ran organizations. And, you know, at the very end, like literally when they circle you up, there's 60 people in a big circle, and you stand up and you're like, I'm Sonia Pedowick and I do this, and I'm Amber Diskin and I do this. And you just like, what?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like it's kind of mind blowing.
Well, and we had somebody in our class who was incarcerated at one point.
Yeah.
And didn't he have a life sentence?
Yeah, he had a life sentence.
Got pardoned.
And
he is doing amazing things in the community, and he's just an amazing person. And
yeah, he is a pretty incredible person.
And but that's going back to like learning about who people are,
right?
Not just what they do or what they did.
Yeah, no, I love that. And the exercise too, where people have done this in and out of something like this, where it's like, you know, take steps forward if you.
Oh yes.
If you've gotten an education, take steps back. If you didn't, if you've lived in poverty, if you didn't, like that was a pretty like heavy.
It was a heavy, yes, absolutely.
For me, like, whoa, you know, this is kind of where you stack up in a community, and like who's ahead of you, who's behind you, and you still don't know where people landed in life today, regardless of where their life started.
Yeah, and then you get your life journey group, and then that's when diarrhea of the mouth and the tears come out. And then you really get to know people, and you're like, wow, life wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
It does make you a little bit more grateful for certain experiences in life that you've had, good or bad.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And so you've been native.
I was born in Boulder City.
Day dot.
And I grew up in Henderson.
Yeah.
Or Hendertucky.
I live in Slumberland. So,
right. And I've lived in Las Vegas and North Las Vegas, so I get around.
Yeah. So what's it been like? And then, I guess tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got into real estate.
So I actually got into real estate because at the time, my ex-husband and I were buying a house, and we were very young, and his grandfather was an architect, so they knew all about, you know, housing and building and all that. And they were, you know, at the time, my husband at the time had a great job, and I was still actually almost graduated when we started looking for a house. And my ex-father-in-law was like, you know, you guys should buy, here's an agent. And we did the whole process, and she sucked. She was not great. And I'm like, gosh, and I told my father-in-law, I was like, I would treat people like so much better. And, you know, I know how to times by 3. So I calculated her commission. I'm like, dang, she just made this much, and she was horrible, you know, and she wasn't good. But we were young and dumb. Now that house was great for us. It was a great starter house. Everything worked out. I eventually sold it because after that experience, my father-in-law was like, you should get your license. Like, you'd be great. One day we can open a brokerage. And I was like, okay. And I was already starting classes I was going to get a degree in finance because I'm a numbers person.
Yeah.
And like, don't ask me what a noun is. I don't know, but no, I do. But I always joke, like, I'm not great at words in English.
Right.
Words are hard, but numbers, I got you.
Yeah.
And so, I was like, well, I'll take a few college classes. I'll add a few, you know, on top of what I'm doing. And at the time, I just had to take the real estate and the real estate law. And then I was able to take the test and get my license. I passed the national the first time and the state one because it's all state law. A little bit harder, so I had to take it twice, which is actually not that bad because I've heard of people having to take it
multiple times.
And the way they do the testing is like, it's, very tricky.
Yeah.
Anywho, so I'm 19 and licensed, and like, now what? I'm a teenager. Nobody wants to use me. I'm a kid. And actually the first house I sold was one of my in-laws' homes that they built.
Yeah.
So it worked out. And, you know, fast forward, I think like 8 years, I did end up getting divorced. It turned out was the best thing that ever happened to me. And from there, I sat in front of my broker at the time, and still very good friend. And I'm, you know, like, oh, I don't know what to do with my life. And she was like, you can go out there and you can make as much money or as little as you want. So like, pull up your big girl pants and get out there, you know. And she gave me this pep talk, and she, you know, was amazing. And I thank her for, kind of giving me that kick in the pants and, opening my eyes. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not getting a real job.
Right.
This is it.
Yeah.
And so, and at that time, it was like heavy short sales. Like the market just tanked. Everybody was upside down. Everybody was either walking away or whatnot.
Crazy.
And so we were cranking out these short sales and helping people, get out and move on with their life. And that's the one thing I've learned in this industry is like you adapt or die because it's always changing.
Yeah.
We just had a recent change with this big, I'm going to call it a BS lawsuit because really the sellers ended up with like $30, which sucks for them. And these attorneys, they cashed in. Anyway, but it's going to change our landscape again.
Right.
I think I like to look at things with the glass half full. So I think it'll be a good change. I think it's going to weed out the not so great agents.
Right.
And that the pros will stay going.
Right.
So,
well, that's been interesting about the real estate market because I've been in Las Vegas now. I got to do the math. What are we at? 2025 minus been there like 20 years, right?
Yeah.
20, 21 years. And my husband's a loan originator, right? So, and I don't know a whole lot about the industry, but what I do know is just kind of what I hear from him. And like, it just feels like the real estate agent market is like saturated. Like everyone thinks they can get into it.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's like crazy. Everyone goes and gets a real estate license and then people like leave, they come in, they come out. So do you think it's just because people think like it's an easy cash cow?
Absolutely.
Like what's that all
they
about?
think it's easy. They watched HGTV. You show 3 homes, you make $1 million.
Yeah.
And it's no.
Yeah.
And I get people, I've had people over the years come to me and they're interested and I'll tell, okay, honestly, the hardest thing is getting the business.
Right.
Anybody can get the license if you have a pulse and it's pretty easy. It depends on the person. But in the grand scheme of things, it is pretty easy to get your real estate license. Like we do joke that, more people have a real estate license than a driver's license.
Right.
But I tell them the hardest thing is getting the business, getting people to like trust you, especially when you're new.
Yeah.
So my son now, he's 20. He beat me by a year. He got his license at 18.
Nice.
And he was almost 19, but
He's not.
I'll give him that.
I don't know where he gets his competitiveness.
Right. And so he's definitely way more competitive than I am, but yes. But I tell him like, because I know when I was 19, I totally had that mindset that nobody wanted to use me because I was 19.
Yeah.
And so I tell him, like, you need to tell people, like, hey, I've been opening doors since I was 7. I was born into this, because you really were.
Right.
So, use my experience and use me. And that way you don't, like,
come off
stigmatize yourself as, oh, nobody wants to use me because I'm young and dumb.
Right.
Like, no, you're not. You're actually, you're making an effort and you're not dumb all the time.
And what has been like some of the toughest lessons you've learned? Because you've weathered it, right? Through like the 2008 and like all the turmoil, all the changes. We had all the things that have happened in Las Vegas, right? The influx of like the housing market craziness. Like, obviously we've had just changes, right? We've had a new sports team. We've had the October 1 shooting. I mean, we've had so much change in this town. How have you weathered it? Like and you've had personal stuff go on throughout this whole thing. How do you keep your head in the game?
Well, what's funny is I was at the shooting on October 1st. And so after that, at that time, I was on the board for the realtor board. So we have a local, state, national. When you're on the local, you're on the state most of the time. So I was on both boards. And it was towards the end of my 3rd year. And the shooting happens. And it's one of those things where it's like, yes, it's a horrible thing to go through.
Horrible.
Like, everybody has different experiences. Obviously, I was there with friends. We all have a different experience, right? And the way it has affected us and still probably will forever. And one of the things that I sat there and I was like, you know what? Like, I could do more with my business. I was doing well. I was able to, raise my kids and be there and go to things and still make a good living.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm super grateful for that.
Right.
And with, after the shooting, I'm like, at this time my kids are getting older and I'm like, I can do more with my business. And that was when one of the reasons I kind of decided as far as the board stuff goes, like it was getting pretty negative and toxic. And I'm like, you know what? I think it's time for me to go ahead and that season's over.
Yeah, that chapter's
moving
closed.
on to the next.
Yeah.
And I actually signed up for coaching. And that's the one thing, that I wish I would have done when I was getting when I first got my license to get a coach.
Yeah.
Never knew that. What's actually really sad is the way I taught myself to write a contract is I would look at other people's contracts in the office to see how they wrote it. And that's how I learned. And that's not good.
Sure.
So like, it's so important to get trained. So anyway, I got a coach and then my business just took off.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. But going through that experience, with the shooting is like, okay, that sucked. I'm gonna let this change me in a good way.
Yeah.
Because I saw a lot of people kind of, we joke like, oh, they're sinking in they're sitting in their dying hole. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Like, I'm going to
traumatizing event.
Yeah.
Right.
It was. And like, but it made me stronger.
Yeah.
It made me cut off relationships that were very bad and cut off people that were very toxic, and to actually like have the balls to be like, no.
Yeah.
And to like choose myself, and to, I joke like, life is too short, eat the dessert first.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, I love that about you. That's so awesome. What are some of the biggest lessons from your coach that you've learned? Because not everyone like has the wherewithal to be like, I need a coach. And I think that's something that I have believed in early in my life. Like, I just need to surround myself with people who keep me in check,
yes,
keep me accountable, but also know something bigger than I know. Because I don't know. I like to think a lot of times I know everything.
Of course we do. We do know everything.
Taurus. I'm a little stubborn, right? Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? But like,
I'm a lot stubborn. But where I struggle was consistency.
Yeah.
And so with my coach, my first coach with that company, he was perfect for me because he gave me that like boost that I needed, kind of just that little boost of confidence and encouragement.
Yeah.
And I learned better that way. I don't want a drill sergeant. I don't tell me what to do, because then I'm definitely not going to do it.
Right.
But if you encourage me and say, hey, have you thought about doing it this way or this way or whatnot? And I've had a few different coaches with this company, because some people, they move on and do something different. And so I have the coach I'm with now. He's also great and amazing. But my big thing is I need the accountability, to stay on track. Because I'm very much like seat of my pants, like, let's go. Like, oh, you want to go on a road trip tomorrow? Cool, let's do it. And it's like, wait, I have work to do. I can't do that. So,
yeah. And I had a question that escaped my mind. What are some of the like struggles like over the years that you
in
like,
real
or
estate?
just like even maybe some tough lessons you've learned along the way?
I mean, I'm very trusting. So I've definitely had some heartbreaks, in business.
Yeah.
With
Those are
people.
Tough. Those are really hard to learn.
Yeah, they are. Like I was fired from a listing and I was like devastated. And I was just, and of course you beat yourself up. And it's like, I think back and I'm like, no, like our personalities, like we were not fit to work together.
Yeah.
And so that was one thing. Instead of like beating myself up and tearing myself down, I'm like, no, like thinking about it now, like I probably shouldn't have even taken that listing just based on the conversation I had when I first met them. And the one thing I like about the coaching I do is they do different conferences, a few different throughout the year. And so I go to most of them when I can, because they're always beneficial. I meet great people.
Yeah.
They have great ideas. And like, there's an agent in Arizona who, she's amazing. And I've learned, I mean, just by having a 30-minute coffee over Zoom with her, like I learned so much. And she's in some of the small groups I'm in as well. And like, she's like, when I am sitting down with a buyer seller, like I'm basically like, we'll decide if we want to work together.
Yeah.
Like she lets them know, like I'm also deciding if I want to work with you too.
Right.
And a lot of people don't have that mindset in real estate, because they're just like, oh, I just want, I got to get everything.
Yeah.
I got to get everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes, the other thing I've learned too is when you kind of shift your boundaries for things and you shouldn't, it always turns into a nightmare deal.
Yeah.
And I've had a few where I'm like, that wasn't worth it.
Right.
I shouldn't have taken it.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have done it. I should have let that person go be happy somewhere else.
Yeah. It's like square peg into a round hole when you force some negative energy back.
Yes.
It's like that force back. I've learned that in business so many times. When you like reduce your pricing or give more than, and you know it in your gut. And it's like at some unconscious level, you're like, but you don't listen to it.
Yeah.
And then down the road in the deal, you just like have that resentment, like, oh man, like if I would have just listened to that at the beginning, then I wouldn't have taken this deal. And now here I'm like I'm working twice as hard to fix it or to make up for it. And if I just would have listened to my intuition, and I think that's something that women have an opportunity, because I think our intuition is so strong.
Absolutely.
And more often than not, when we don't listen to it, that's when we get ourselves into trouble.
Yep.
So crazy.
Every time.
And so, divorce, raising kids, at least one of the kids is getting into the business. That's got to be kind of exciting.
It is. And he's been a big help. He's got a little ways to go. He'll get there.
Yeah.
I am going to encourage and lead the horse to water. It's going to be up to him to drink.
Yeah.
He wants it,
Yeah.
He's funny because when he was it was in junior high. Remember those fidget spinners?
Yeah.
So he would ask me to buy them for him. And he had the money, right? And he would go to school and sell them to the kids who their parents wouldn't let him have them. Yeah. And then one time he was like, hey, can we go to Costco? And he got a big thing of snacks and he was selling them at school until he got in trouble. So he's always been like the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So he'll be good.
That's amazing.
And for him, it's a win-win because it's like eventually I want to retire.
Yeah.
And, you're here.
Right.
So today I was supposed to have a showing. I was going to bring him with me because I always tell any client I meet, I'm like, my son works with me. I'll bring him so you can meet him. There's occasionally a time where he might show you because if I'm unavailable, we want to make sure you always have somebody. So it's like you're getting a 2-for-1. Yeah. And it's funny because one client was like, well, your son was great. He did such a great job. I don't know how to move forward. Like, do I communicate with you or him? And I said, it's totally up to you. We work together. So whatever you're comfortable with. He goes, okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and communicate from him from now on. And I was like, okay. So then, of course, Cole, his head all big. He's like, oh, your clients like me better. And I'm like, shut up.
Funny. It's so funny. We raise them in our likeness and then take over.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So what's up for you for this year? What do you got going on? Like anything big this year? Any new challenges? Are you learning anything new?
One thing, so I do have my property management permit, and I got that a few years ago, and I've just been sitting on it essentially.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I need to stop being a secret agent and tell people.
Right.
And
what's the purpose of hiding that?
Exactly. I know. Honestly, I was just not.
Really.
I'm not. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready because, property management is it's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
And you really have to have like staff in place.
Right.
To make it.
And are you
to
wanting
make
to
it
property
worth
manage
it.
Single property or like multiply? Like what are you wanting to get into in the property management space?
I mean, anything and everything.
Yeah.
I know this town like the back of my hand. I want it all.
Yeah.
So.
That's got to be kind of exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be good. I do want to have my own to manage.
Right. So acquire some property.
Yeah, of course. That's always been the goal. Actually, I'm going to help Alan and Cole get their house together.
That's
so
nice.
Yeah. So that'll help Cole too, because I'm like, hey, you show your friends like, hey, it's possible. I'm 20 and I did it.
Right. No, yeah. So great. And this market's like interesting. There's still people that are flocking to Las Vegas. Like, what do you think is still the appeal for Las Vegas as a real estate market?
Well, I feel like one thing is that people look at us like, oh, we're a real city now. Like we have all these sports.
Right.
We're stealing all these Oakland teams, which whatever.
Yeah. I was excited about the football. I don't know how excited
I know.
about
I'm like,
baseball.
I love baseball. I just went to spring.
Really?
I do. Yeah. I just went to spring training. I'm like, I forgot how much I miss it.
Who's your team? We might have to have fighting words for this.
The Giants.
Oh, really? You're a Giants fan?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, a few reasons.
Because
I didn't have a team.
A's fans.
You're an A's fan?
Yes.
Oh,
we grew
great.
up in the Bay Area.
Well, I will be an A's fan when they come here because it's Vegas. I had no intention of being a Raider fan. I'm like, nope. Raiders and Dodgers remind me of gang members. And then they come here and I'm like, oh, crap. Like, it's my city. I have to. So I'm a full-blown Raider fan now. I was a Niner fan. You're a Niner fan.
I've been a Raider fan since I was a little girl.
Yeah.
But I'm a little worried about what they're going to do with the quarterback. So.
Oh, I know.
But how did you end up being a Giants
fan? So growing up, my parents were like diehard Dodger fans, but my parents were very negative, and they always were like, "Oh, the bums, they suck," and
Because the affiliate team here was Dodgers. The 51s were Dodger fans.
They were the Dodgers. They were the Blue Jays.
Yeah. Giants?
No, but Mark, my husband.
I was like, wait a minute. How is it? So it always has to be the significant others.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny because he was like, when we met, I was like, oh, crap, she's going to be a Dodger fan.
Oh, that's so
And then I was like,
funny.
because I grew up going to the Stars. You remember the Las Vegas Stars before they were the 51s?
Yeah.
And it's funny because I never been to a pro game, but I always loved baseball.
Yeah.
So I go
Baseball's
and
super fun to watch.
hang out on the hill and catch the balls and all that. And so we went, the first game we went to was actually in Arizona. The Giants were playing out there.
Ah, did you go to like spring training out there or you went to actual MLB game?
The actual MLB game. Actually, that was the first one I went with Mark. I did go to one with Mike's husband when the kids were really little, and it was Angels Stadium. And we were young and poor and didn't know anything, and we bought tickets in the 500s.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like hyperventilating. I'm like,
so high.
I'm like, I can't do this. This is so high up. And so we're actually planning. We have friends that are A's fans not A's, I'm sorry, Angels. So we're planning a trip in April to go out there. And I told Marco, I'm like,
we're getting nice
no
seats.
500s.
Yeah.
But we're seat snobs now. Like, we're totally ruined. Oh, totally ruined.
Well, the Angel Stadium is cool because they have like, aren't they built up like against like there's a hotel and they have the hot tub section, and I think the Angel Stadium is like really nice.
It's
if
nice.
You can get down in the 300s.
Yeah. Really nice. We took the kids when they were young. We have a picture with all four of them. And because we had, Mark's two, my two. And we took him to see the Yankees because Alan is a Yankee fan. I don't know why, but he is. And so he told me.
Very confused family.
Yeah, it very, yeah. Yeah. And so I do have a picture of me wearing a Yankee shirt because I told him, I said, as long as they're not playing the Giants, I'll wear a Yankee shirt. Yeah. And so I bought a Yankee shirt and wore it for him. It made him happy, the things you do.
I think the appeal definitely is sports, right? And still like the median, the median housing price has gone up pretty significantly. And I do think investors are still coming in pretty hot.
Oh,
even
they
in
are.
Our neighborhood, I feel like we only have like 111 homes in our neighborhood. And I think the last, recently there was I met him at the mailbox. A guy bought a house. But prior to that, I felt like the last few sales were definitely investor purchases just because then they came in, they remodeled, and then they sat for a while, and a couple of them are still, which is a little like frustrating to see because then you always worry like it's like a
squatters,
or
thankfully we have some pretty good squatter laws to get them out quickly.
Some of the other states don't. Like some of the squatter rights are leaning more towards squatters.
Oh yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, I think my brother was telling me out in California.
Oh, California's the worst for everything.
Yeah. Now, like, if you want to evict someone who you think is a squatter, you have to pay their moving expenses.
Oh, yeah. I totally believe it. They're ridiculous out there.
I just don't even understand why that would be the case.
Yeah. Well, I will say a few things about out here. Like, I mean, we get a lot of people from California. A lot of people were driven here because they were really tired of, like, the political climate. And, I mean, they've gotten really bad. Like, no matter what side you stand on, you just look at the facts.
Yeah, right.
And so we're getting a lot of people coming here for that.
Yeah.
And I mean, they can sell their house for $1 million, $2 million, come here and buy something cash.
Yes, 100%.
And yes, we do have a ton of investors. We've had a shortage of inventory for a while. Our inventory has increased some, which is great, but the rates being high is not helping.
Yeah.
So once we get our rates under 6, that'll be the sweet spot where people will be more comfortable because people are still buying and selling because there's life events, their family's growing, they're getting divorced, they're moving out of state. I mean, most of my business last year was I did some referrals out, people moving out of state, and then some referrals coming in. Yeah. People moving here, which is great for me. So that's been nice.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And what do you see like the trend? Like, do you think the interest rates will start to go down with everything going on or?
I think they will. I mean, that's a hard thing because everybody's so in an uproar over politics. And it's like, I just want America to win. I don't care how it happens. Exactly. I just want them to win. I just want us to win. Yeah, because, I want our economy to get better, obviously. And, I mean, like, just the housing thing, like the builders are still building like crazy.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah. And I do get a lot of people worried about water. Like, you guys are going to run out of water. And it's like, no, we're going to be fine. And we do a lot. I mean, we learned that in going through leadership is how much we do to conserve water and everything.
I know I walked my dog in the morning at 5 a.m. and the water reclamation people are in there flagging and
Oh, yeah.
monitoring.
I saw one today when I was leaving the neighborhood.
Yeah.
A little H2O on the side.
Yeah.
And I know what he
The
is.
big
He's the
flashing
water
lights.
snitch. It's
Yeah,
fine.
it's crazy.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, 2-3 times a week. I'm like, I try to put it on our little Facebook page. I'm like, you guys are going to get ticketed if you're not watering properly. So
Right. And it's like, just, I had a beautiful grass in the front yard. My water bill was over $300. And I was like, yeah, it sucks to pay that bill. But at the same time, I'm like, I could save a lot of water.
Right.
So I went ahead and I made the switch. And I think I got like $4 or $5 per square foot.
right.
I think it was like a $4,000 check to put in the turf. And the thing about turf is I don't have to mow it.
Yeah, no, it's true.
It's beautiful all year long.
Right. We converted ours and we went to some turf, but we also made it like a little seating area and some steps. And now it's actually, we can hang out. Our house during COVID we had like 3 or 4 families that were close and very safe together. And so we became a little bit of a hangout house. And, we would socially distance in our yard and kids would play in the street.
Right.
And since then, it's still kind of the hangout yard that has this elevation and the chairs. And with our old yard with the grass and no shade, you really couldn't hang out there. Now that we converted it and we're saving money, it's better. And I think anything new going in, no one's putting grass in anyway, right?
Right. Well, they're not allowed to.
Right.
Yeah. The new home builders cannot put any in the front yard at all. And you can do half of your backyard. Last I heard. And they will turn your water off if you violate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other thing I will say about the market too is I think during COVID, all of us being quarantined in our homes, some people realize like, oh, I do need a bigger sandcastle.
Yeah. A lot of people, right? They need space.
They needed space. They needed privacy. They needed to be away from their loved ones.
Right. Or a place to even work that wasn't like their bedroom that, you're logging on, you're logging off. They needed like that. Or DIY or people became entrepreneurs. They needed to work.
And it hurt commercial. COVID hurt commercial, but commercial's bouncing back and doing well. So
yeah, I think there's a definite split between people who like to work from home and people who don't. I did not. That wasn't
I'm a
healthy
people
for me.
person. Yeah. I want to see people
get dressed. My mental health is such that I want to go to work. I don't want to be in my house.
Right.
I just
same.
I'm not. I love my dog, but I need space for my dog.
Yes.
He doesn't allow me to work. He's very needy. I don't want to be that close to my refrigerator or my couch. And you know what I mean? I like an ergonomic chair. Like I have like these needs
exactly
to get my work done. And I just find when I have that morning routine to walk the dog, get ready for work, shower, change in like a work space, clothes. I think I operate totally differently.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
And other people, I'm more productive from home. I'm more this, I'm more that. Then that's good for you. That's just not everyone. I don't think it's cookie cutter, one size fits all.
Right.
So
definitely.
Yeah. So what else is happening for this coming year? Like, I know you're going to launch this property management business. I'm going to be your accountability partner on that. Like, I'd love to see you do that.
Yeah.
How can people find you if they want to do business with you?
Oh, I'm very easy to find. Actually, I jokingly on my Facebook put Real Estate Goddess. So then now that kind of stuck. So I put like my Instagram is 702 Real Estate Goddess. My TikTok is 702 Real Estate Goddess. It was more of like a joke.
Yeah.
But people who know me, like, you either love me or hate me because we're going to have fun. And if you don't want to have fun, that's fine. You don't have to.
So that's how they find you.
That's how they find me. I mean, I have a website. Well, I've, a few, but as far as my real estate one, it's 702realestate.vip.
Yeah, I love that.
I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
I love the whole 702 because I'm a native.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
Yeah, but I'm very easy to find.
Yeah.
A little too easy.
Are you still driving your pink Tesla?
I am.
Yes.
I'm eventually going to rip the wrap off. They only last for a few years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's parts of it that's starting to look a little eh. So.
Are you going to go with a different color? Or?
I'll probably just keep it white.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked the white.
That's how you know who you are, though.
I just had a wild hair one day and was like, I'm going to wrap my car.
It's so you, though.
It definitely is. It's amazing, too, when I'm driving and, like, people are getting over and I'm like, how do you not see me? I am pink.
For a while, you were posting those videos of crazy drivers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I got a lot of views. Like, my funny stuff or my real estate stuff, I just get a few views, whatever.
Yeah.
And I just more do it for fun.
Yeah.
But then I, like, a few of my road rage ones.
Yeah.
Not me road raging, other people. I mean, I was getting annihilated by people. Like half of the people would have my back and the other half are like, you're a jerk. You were in the fast lane. And I'm like, well, no shit, Sherlock. Of course I was. Like my car goes 200 miles an hour. Why would I not be? But I'm also not going to put I was going 85 in a 55 construction zone. Like I'm not an idiot. Come on. It's funny though. You can see the analytics. 90% of the people were not in Vegas. And I had people, I'm going to send you a video of what happens when you're parked in the fast lane. I'm like, I wasn't parked.
Yeah, I was moving.
I was moving very fast.
Gosh, people are so crazy.
They are funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my roundabout one, it was that
was
the
one
roundabout one. Oh my gosh, people were, and you can't read the comments because people can be so mean.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, calm down, keyboard gangster. Like you wouldn't say that to my face.
Right. No.
I think we all need to be a little bit kinder to each other.
Yeah, that would be nice this year if people could just lay down.
It'd be
it's
nice,
just a little unnecessary. Like I think that's like the whole mindset and the coaching and having all of this stuff is like just to remind yourself like that. It's not that serious. And I can only control what I can control.
That's okay. So you did ask me earlier about like the biggest thing I've gotten out of my coaching.
Yeah.
And I will tell you the biggest thing was do not let things out of your control affect you, upset you.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of like when people get so hot over politics and fight. It's like, I'm sorry, but the president doesn't know your name.
No.
Like, why are you fighting?
Right.
You know, and why are you getting upset about something you really can't control? Like, you only can control it by a vote, and that's it. And that's just the facts. So why are you letting it consume you and ruin your life? And so that's the one thing I absolutely love about the coaching I do is it is all very much mindset and very much like, you know, encouragement and lifting people up and like also like, you know, not beating yourself up. And all of that's so important, especially nowadays, because life is hard, you know?
It definitely is.
And it shouldn't be.
Right.
And the other thing is like people can be really nasty and we all need to be kinder to each other and to ourselves.
Yeah.
Like I'm not the best at like reading. I'll get tired and fall asleep. So I'm like, all right, audiobook, here we go.
Yep.
And I finished Soundtracks by John Acuff, and that is an absolutely great mindset shifting book for people who need it. And now I'm listening to Let Them by Mel Robbins.
Oh,
and
nice.
I'm like, I need to take her advice, you know?
That's next on my list. We're reading in the Mastermind, Power of Intention by Wayne Dwyer. And it's just a quick, like 4-hour audible. That's been really good to just be reminded about the power of intention and really how powerful our mind is and where our mind goes, our energy flows. Cause it can be really, like you said, it can be, I was sick last week with the flu, and it was very easy to just like, you know, literally laying on the floor and doom scrolling.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the thing right now is like, you know, you're like on social media and you're just like doom scrolling. And I'm like, I just have to like, okay, I already feel like crap. I cannot leave my bedroom. I cannot be more than 3-4 feet away from even the bathroom right now. And then why am I doing this? Like I'm just scrolling just to read all these toxic things that are going on. And I have to, it vacillates between I want to be informed about what's going on.
Right.
And I want to be sensitive to what some of my other friends' experiences are because some things that are happening do impact some people I care about very deeply and not being like sucked into the things that I cannot control.
Exactly.
And when it does come time to like vote or take action or speak up, it's not like I'm not one to do that. People know me. I am going to speak up for those, and I'm always voted and will continue to vote. And I will have a voice for that. But really in the moment right now, like, is it the healthiest thing to be doing this? Right. Yeah. And so I have to like think about that and then be like, okay, get off of this and go listen to power of
something
intention or positive or like anything else. But this, because this is not serving me.
Yep. And I'm very, how do I say this? So I'm very skeptical of like, is that even true?
Right.
And that's mainly because going through the shooting and being there, and I had news outlets find me because I'm easy to find on social media and say, oh, like CNN wanted to pick me up and take me in a limo and interview me. And I was like, I'm not leaving my house.
Right.
I'm like, no way. I'm not. I'll talk to you on the phone. And my head was so, I don't even know what I said on that interview, to be honest. I was so mentally drained. And then watching what the media did to like our police department and Lombardo and all that. And I'm like, you guys are so wrong. And because it affected me so deeply and my friends, I'm like I have trust issues now with the media because I'm like, you guys are just trying to sell a story and you're making it worse.
Right.
And I have a really good friend that was in law enforcement, and she would warn me like, hey, the RJ just got the autopsy, so you might want to stay off social media just in case anything's leaked. And I'm like, why the F do they need that?
Yeah.
Like, what purpose is that serving?
Right.
And so I have trust issues with that too. So I'm trying to, not be completely oblivious, but just also being mindful of what I'm putting in because.
Yeah. And it's like this weird thing with social media and, 2025, like everyone needs to know everything now.
Yeah.
Like what is our, and to your point too, like where you're getting your information, are you like now I've got to go fact check.
Right.
Like now, why do I?
Like, how do we know if this is true?
Yeah. It's so crazy to be in this kind of world. And
that's why I'm like, hey, show me a picture of a funny dog or kid falling, like the kid's getting hurt. It's kind of funny.
And teaching our kids that. Teaching our kids that responsibility.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're so much more susceptible to it than even we are.
Yeah.
Right? Where are they getting their information and their influence? Because they're in such formidable years right now. Your kids
they're also deep on, TikTok and scrolling and
100%.
a funny video. And it's like, not everything's a joke.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And what you like and what you share is a reflection of who you are. And that's so important to impress upon them. All
Absolutely.
Of that stuff for sure. So, well, I love chatting with you. I think you're amazing.
Oh, thank you.
And so
I think you're amazing.
Oh, well, I'm so glad I got to meet you in leadership and that our friendship has transcended this. And I do appreciate your mindset and being around you because you do always exude that like real, like it's not fake. It's very authentic. Like who you are is who you are. And you always have this like positive outlook, but also like when you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it. And it's very real. And I appreciate that in another businesswoman too. So I think you're amazing.
Thanks.
And we'll put where people can connect to you in the show notes so that if people are looking to buy or sell or need their
property managed,
they know how to get in touch with you. So
awesome.
I'm glad
Appreciate
I popped your podcast
Yeah.
cherry. This was your first podcast. What did you think?
It was great.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad. Thanks for being on the show.
You made it very easy and very relaxing.
Just like having a conversation with a friend.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for being on my show.
Having a little tea.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks for being on my show.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me.
If you like what you saw today on the Catalyst podcast, make sure you subscribe to our show, like it, and share it with someone who you think might also find value.